Hey, what's up guys, this is 9lives coming at you with another video, and today I'm going to be showing you how to quickscope in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Of course, we're going to be starting off with the basics, and as this video progresses, we'll get into the more complex stuff, so hopefully you'll stick around for that. And you don't have to watch this video all at once, you can just get the basics, go try it out, and then come back later for the more advanced stuff. Favorite this video, so you can come back to it for future reference. Actually, I really suggest doing that. If you take a moment to favorite the video, you'll be able to come back, because this is going to be a lot of information to take in all at once. If you have some friends that have no idea how to quickscope, or maybe they just need some pointers, this would be a great video to share with them. And of course, it's going to be a lot more fun to learn together. It'll make everything easier. And also be sure to subscribe so you can see my future videos where I'll share even more techniques throughout this year, so you can get better and better at quickscoping all the time. Alright, so now let's get into this. The first thing that you're going to want to do is get used to the scoping speed. And I mean really get used to the scoping speed. Learn to anticipate the exact moment that you'll be able to see through your scope, just by muscle memory. Knowing this timing really well will allow you to hold your ground better against assault rifles and SMGs at closer ranges. So this is really important. Know the exact moment that the game lets you see through the scope. The next thing that you're going to want to do is get rid of any hesitation in your shot to get your shot faster. And the best way to do this is by playing against bots. You can also do this in the virtual firing range, but I really prefer the bots because it's a little bit more realistic. So the main things that you're going to want to practice to get rid of hesitation in your shot is getting used to the scoping speed. This is pretty self-explanatory, so the only thing that I'm going to mention here is that different sniper rifles do have different scoping speeds as well as different attachments. So you might want to come back and get used to the different scopes and the different sniper rifles. But to start out, getting used to one sniper rifle with one scope is good enough. I suggest the Morse with the variable zoom scope. The next thing that you're going to want to practice against bots to get rid of any hesitation in your shot is scoping in closer to your enemies. So when you first start trying to quickscope, you're not going to be able to zoom in right on your enemies all the time. You're going to be a few feet off, but just work on getting that distance a little bit closer. And remember, you can start aiming in while you're bringing your scope up. I find this to be a very important idea because it really separates beginner quickscopers from the more experienced quickscopers. Aiming in while your scope is still coming up. So then the moment you can see through your scope, you can take the shot. The better you can aim and center your target while you're still pulling up your scope, the faster your shot is going to be. The next thing that you're going to want to do is get used to whatever sensitivity you're using. So I suggest 12 sensitivity, that's what I've been using. You can also use 10, 11, I mean it's kind of personal preference, but you really do want it to be a little bit higher than what you'd use with an assault rifle. For example, I use a 4 to 6 sensitivity with an assault rifle, but when I'm sniping I use 10 to 12. And the reason is when you're scoped in with the sniper rifle, your sensitivity automatically lowers a little bit. And it's to the point where it's really hard to keep up with enemies if your sensitivity is something like a 4 or a 6. So that's why it needs to be higher, so you can follow your enemies with the scope. And especially in Advanced Warfare, since it's such a fast-paced game, people are flying all over the place, you really need something a little bit higher. The next thing that you're going to want to practice against bots to get rid of the hesitation in your shot is leading your shots. And by leading your shot, I mean scoping in slightly ahead of your enemy, so then when you're fully scoped in, you can take the shot as fast as possible. If you're accidentally scoping in a little bit behind your enemy, you're going to end up chasing him with your scope, and it's not going to work. It's going to leave you exposed for longer than necessary to other enemies who could potentially shoot you. So work on that timing. It's really important to get your shots as fast as possible. The next thing that you can learn in a private match to get rid of hesitation in your shot is learning when it is too far to quickscope. It's going to happen all the time. You're going to see an enemy in the distance and it's going to be a little bit too far to quickscope. You need to know that distance really well. You need to know how far you're comfortable quickscoping someone and when it is too far and you need to take your time on the shot, hold your breath, and then make sure you hit them. And it's whatever method is best for the situation. So if somebody's really far away, there's no shame in hard scoping them and holding your breath and taking your time on the shot. It's whatever is going to do the job. So those are 5 skills that you can work on in a private match against bots to really speed up your shot and get rid of any hesitation. Eventually, in some situations, you'll get to the point where you don't necessarily need to wait for your brain to register that there's a guy in your scope before you shoot. It's pretty amazing. Eventually you get to the point where you'll have your aiming done while you're pulling up your scope, so that the moment you're fully scoped in, you can pull the trigger. You don't even need to wait for visual verification looking through your scope that the guy's actually there, because it happens very quickly. So eventually you will get to that point where some of your shots, you just shoot like the first frame that your scope pops up fully. I don't know if that made any sense, but if you're really removing all of the hesitation from your shot and taking your shots as fast as possible, you will get to that point where you don't necessarily need to verify that the person is in your scope, because especially with the Atlas sniper rifle, it's really hard to see what's going on in the scope because the magnification on the scope is pretty high. There's not very good visibility, so This is pretty technical stuff. Maybe I'll leave that for later. Anyways, okay, so the next thing that you're gonna wanna look at is how to consistently win medium to close range gunfights with the sniper rifle. And to do this, you'll need to put yourself in a more powerful position than your enemy. And there's a few ways to do this. So the number one way to put yourself in a more powerful position than your enemy with a sniper rifle is flanking. So flanking is taking the less traveled route to sneak up behind your enemies or sneak up from the side of your enemies where they're not expecting, where they're not looking the right way, and you can take them out from the back or from the side. Now this is very popular for rushers with SMGs obviously, but it works great with snipers as well. And that's how you can really get a nice score and a good KD and all that, is catching your enemies off guard in a situation where they're easy to kill and you have a huge advantage. Number two is getting behind cover. So you should be using cover as much as possible. And there's a lot of things that some people don't even realize can be cover, like for example, stairs. Stairs can be great cover because you can walk up and down the stairs so that your enemy can barely see you, just the tip of your head or just up to your shoulders. And that puts you at a huge advantage. Being on stairs in a lot of cases is really good because you are really going to be at a disadvantage in close to medium range gunfights. And when you put yourself in a more powerful position, that's how you can start winning those gunfights that you usually wouldn't be able to. Now the next thing that you can do to put yourself in a more powerful position than your enemy is boost jump. So boost jumping in Advanced Warfare is amazing. I do it a lot when I'm sniping. When your enemy's using something like an assault rifle, it's a lot harder for them to track you through the air, through your jump, and shoot you down than it is for you to place one bullet on them. At least that's what I find. I find that I win a ton of gunfights when I'm in the air. My chances of winning the gunfight are just so much better when I'm jumping. So you'll notice if you watch some of my gameplays, I'm jumping like constantly. Alright, so for my next point here, I just wanted to elaborate on the boost jumping thing. This is getting a little bit more complicated now, so this might be the time where if you're new to sniping, if you're new to quickscoping, maybe pause the video, go practice by yourself for a bit, and then come back and watch the rest of this video, because from now on I think it's probably going to be a little bit more technical. Make sure you favorite the video so you can come back easily later on and you can follow along. But anyways, okay, so what I wanted to talk about is in the comment section of my videos, people have been saying that I jump in a little bit of a unique way. I've seen a few people call it the 9 lives jump, which I thought was pretty funny because I thought I was just using the exosuit like anybody else would. But anyways, let me explain this and why it works so well. So what people are calling the 9 lives jump is when I jump off a platform without using the exosuit and then boost strafe forward and then boost jump up. This is really hard for enemies to deal with because, like I mentioned before, with assault rifles, it's really hard to take down an enemy who's in the air. They find it really unpredictable, and you can even change direction while you're in the air too, so it's pretty hard for someone to shoot you down, and you're at a huge advantage when you do this. So what you're watching on the screen is a little bit of a demonstration, and this should give you some inspiration on how you can use the exosuit as a sniper. It's really, really effective, and I definitely suggest you do whatever you can to be unpredictable when you're using the exosuit. You can put yourself at a huge advantage, and I definitely suggest playing around and being creative with the exosuit so that you're not just doing simple boost jumps all the time, which are going to be a lot more predictable. It really contributes to putting yourself in a more powerful position, and it helps you win gunfights. So yeah, that's the 9 lives jump. I just wanted to explain that. So another thing that a friend pointed out to me about my playstyle is I do this thing called the ogre twitch, and probably like 0.1% of you guys watching this video are going to know what the ogre twitch is. So the ogre twitch actually originated from Halo. It was 2 pro Halo players named Ogre 1 and Ogre 2, but one of them started doing this thing where they would spin their thumbstick really quickly and just twitch. The reason why I do it and the reason why I picked it up, and to be honest, I didn't even realize I was doing this. This is totally subconscious for me now, but what it does is it helps calibrate your brain to the game. Like, it helps you get a really good feel for what your sensitivity is, how much movement of your thumb is necessary for how much movement on the screen in the game. Being really in tune with that sensitivity and feeling like your thumb is one with the game, as stupid as that sounds, it really makes your shot on point. So moving on, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is the insta-swap. So the insta-swap originated from trick shotting, you know, jumping off buildings, going for spins, 720s, 1080s, kill cams and stuff like that. And it's kind of transferred over into quickscoping and just going for clips and montage clips and, you know, kill feeds and stuff like that over the last couple years. What an insta-swap is it allows you to switch from your primary weapon to your secondary weapon faster. And in this game, because I actually find that the overkill wildcard is very practical. I use the overkill wildcard on almost all of my classes. The overkill wildcard lets you use a primary weapon as your primary and your secondary. So I've been using the Morse and the Atlas together like all the time, and it works really well because the Atlas has a faster scoping speed. So I use the Atlas in close quarter situations, and then I switch to the Morse for longer range stuff. I mean, I'll do a class setup video probably for tomorrow. Quickscoping class setup video, so you can check that out. I'll put the annotation on the screen now, so if it's up you can click the annotation and check out my custom classes, which should help you get off to a good start with Quickscoping. But anyways, how you do an insta swap is you hold out your grenade shooter thing by pressing RB, or I'm not sure what the button would be on PlayStation, but it's the right bumper on Xbox, and then you double tap Y. And that makes you switch to your secondary weapon really fast. And when it's an Atlas, it looks awesome. Like, pulling out an Atlas that fast is just awesome. And it looks really great in montage clips. To be honest, the speed isn't that big of a deal. I think most people just do it for style points, because nowadays making montages is pretty competitive, and anything to make your clip a little bit more complicated, complex, impressive, people will go for it. So that's the insta swap. It's not really much of a practical thing. It's more of a style thing, and I will make videos showing you more stuff like the insta swap and little tricks like that people like to get into. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe so you can see my future videos and stay up to date with all the latest quickscoping news, all the latest tips, all the latest tricks, all that kind of stuff. Be sure to leave a like if you thought that I did a good job on this video and you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys soon with a new video. Peace.